All right, we're back, everybody. Caleb Rothy, John Mapes. We are now talking about the month of February. And for me, John, this is one of the most fun months of the season. Also, sometimes one of the most stressful. We'll talk about how to kind of avoid that if we can. But this is where the hard work finally starts paying off. We've been working really hard for months and months, both on the adult side, like putting together and planning the show. And also our students have been giving us the last 2 months working really, really hard without a payday yet. Finally, in February, we're going to get the show out there the first time. We're going to perform live in front of an audience. We're going to start to get some feedback from judges and also maybe from colleagues at shows. So, John, what are some of the things that you're concentrating on and trying to get accomplished in February?
Well, it's February, right? So we've been watching all the videos. We got everything. We got floors and costumes and props. And we got 2/3 of our show out. Everything's going well. We're going to have a great time here in our February-March window, right? But yeah, we're performing, and it's a big deal. And the students need to get out there. They need that experience. They need to know that it is fun, and there's a reason why we do this. And we actually do need the feedback. We all need the feedback, and it doesn't matter how long you've been doing it, especially that first impression. There's nothing like it because you're living in this cave, kind of. It's a secret, right? Nobody knows what anybody's show is, and it's all super important. And when you go to the first show, and it's like sometimes it's awesome, and sometimes it's not awesome. And both of those are important. You need to know. Typically, it's probably in the middle. Everyone's probably got some good things going, and then some things they need to look at, right? And getting that feedback early on is really important. The tricky thing about February is we're having our first show, but we don't get to stop and celebrate, right? We've got to keep moving. Because if we're like mid-February, we did our first show, we want to be done with our show by mid-March. I mean, that's the schedule, So, and it's tricky. So, the best thing about February is like most schools have like double Mondays off. So there's a lot of opportunity for some big weekends. Like we'll do that here. We're like, as a big weekend, we're going to do a Saturday and a Monday, and like 2 full rehearsal days. That's how I can learn an entire chunk. A whole minute of show that can absolutely be done in those 2 days. And so you just kind of like schedule your shows around that, and know like I have these 2 days here where we're gonna stage, we're gonna rehearse, and then I got a week to kind of put it all back together and then go to the next show so that we stay on track.
Yeah, for me, the 2 big things are trying to come out to the first performance of the season with a lot on the floor. Like 2/3 would be fantastic. That hopefully everybody can kind of make that their target. If you don't quite get there, you don't quite get there. If it doesn't fit for your particular show this year, where it like kind of, a natural stop point is, that's fine. But that's kind of a good rule of thumb. And then the other component is once you get out and have that first competition, you're going to want to clean and refine and detail in all the things that you just did. And that's where some groups lose a little bit of inertia because you go into like, okay, we got to clean it. We got to fix it for the next 2 weeks. When really what we got to do is like keep moving forward with this. Like John said, take advantage of the schedule to produce more, get more out there. So hopefully you're on track to kind of get everything finished. I always liked to try to do the whole performance by the first show that we had in March. Sometimes that's not always reasonable, and it's got to be more mid-March. But I think, John, you mentioned that was kind of the goal in March, was by mid-March, you want to have the whole thing done. If that's going to happen, we got to be taking strides forward in February as well.
Right. It is really tricky. It's really easy to want to stop after you get feedback. But as long as you know it's not catastrophic, it's like, oh, there's a few things we need to take a look at. They're on the list. We're going to get to them. Sometimes you can sneak them in. It's a show week. You've learned the next chunk, and it's like, hey guys, can we just do this real quick? And it's a Tuesday night or whatever, and you can get these things in. You don't have to stop for a whole week, and now all the progress is just like, and we're waiting. And now we're not going to be done in mid-March, because here's the thing: we don't know what's coming up with the last third of show, so we have to prioritize. Well, how important is this? These couple issues, kind of small. We'll get to them. But we don't know what's coming, right? And there might be a major issue in the closer, and we don't know.
Right. And we're going to want that time in the back end. We're going to want to know that we set ourselves up for success in case some unforeseen issues crop up with the production timeline or just how the show's coming together. It's good, John. Great advice. And let's get together for one more of these things and kind of talk about how to finish the season through March and April, and hopefully give all of our performers an amazing experience to close out the season.